This guy's trying his first cigar.
So guys, this is my first ever cigar with this asshole right here.
The lighter. Clipper. You have to light it, like roll it around so it's evenly heated and evenly lighted up.
Not too close, huh?
Yeah, but you give it some heat, man.
I can start?
No, get it a bit closer. No, it's a sparky lighter. Yes, there you go. Connoisseur, man.
That got hot real quick.
Light it up, boy. Give it a puff. Light it up more.
No, that didn't work.
Give me the lighter look. Burning up a cigar. Twist, turn it. Like barbecue.
Roasting time.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you, man?
Good, good. Give us some background about you.
Well, I am a criminal. I have done 5 years in the gulag, and
The gulag of life.
the gulag of life.
The gonag of life.
Bro, I really think we
Puff
have to
it.
cut.
Puff it up, like give it a B and a silent J. Give it like a couple of puffs. Give it a couple more puffs. Like get it going. Like you know how you smolder a fire. And now the tricky part is you have to keep it. You don't have to make it burn fast, but you also don't have to let it go out. Because the leaves in there, they are still damp, but not too damp.
Okay, it works. It's kind of like weed, man.
Kind of thick.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's very similar.
Damn.
I think because sometimes they put a lot of tobacco in there.
That's a lot of tobacco. Just pure leaves, by the way.
Good stuff.
Yep. And I have the same thing over here. It's just Captain Black grape. How's life, man?
Good experience, man. Good stuff. It doesn't taste like shitty cigarettes.
It tastes like that or no?
Good stuff. So, Wajeeh, what's on your mind today, my friend?
Nicotine is not addictive. It's the habits.
That's an interesting.
The worry about, oh, I want to smoke, I was reading this up with, what's his name?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ernell, that guy on
That
the
guy.
CEO,
Yeah.
Diary of a CEO. He was saying it's not that nicotine is addictive, it's the worry that you have to smoke. And then when you eventually get to smoke, you get that thought away from that impulse is now dissolved, the act is done. So that's when you feel relief. It's not that nicotine brings you relief, it's the impulse that you have to do which brings you relief. Because if you know, nicotine is not a laxative, it's not like a relaxing drug. Nicotine is like a stimulant. It essentially enables you to push forward, give you more energy. get you going, wake you up. Nicotine, it's almost like it's well very widely considered now that nicotine is a neurostimulant. So it's being used to treat Alzheimer's. It's being used to treat all sorts of different brain mechanics and issues. It's also shown that nicotine somehow helps with long COVID or something called what is chronic fatigue.
With chronic fatigue.
Chronic fatigue and long COVID, there were people that are showing signs that once they started taking like 5 mgs of nicotine per day, every day for 7 days, they started showing considerably good improving results on their health and their symptoms from chronic fatigue or long COVID. It's pretty good.
That's a very interesting. That's a very interesting point. Well, so you believe that it's the habits themselves that cause people to become addicted rather than the nicotine itself.
It's the impulses.
It's the dopamine that you get from it,
Yes.
isn't it?
It's
kind of like any other impulsive habit.
Yes, exactly.
But see, if you're going to state that it is about more about the habit and not the nicotine itself, we were talking earlier about impulsive shopping. If that's the case, why are people who are also impulsive and who just have a habit of doing things on impulse, such as buying things to get the dopamine rush, why do they not have this pattern for a long period of time or maybe years? There might be many people who do go on an impulse and keep buying that. Maybe that's how they are, but most people they're able to control their impulses about this fairly well. Would you not say that it's not on the same level as getting an addiction from nicotine?
No, because you could categorize impulses are driven by your emotional state essentially. So perhaps stress, anxiety, fear, things to distract yourself away from. You eventually try to give in to impulses to distract yourself away from things that you are interested in, and those short-term interesting things are then what we call impulses, because once you are successfully distracted away from that certain fear or pain or that emotional state, then your brain subconsciously, you maybe not so much, but your brain itself recognizes, oh, this is the way to get away from that pain. So now you subconsciously you make these neural circuits where every time you start to feel that tingling feeling coming up, and you want to not deal with it, that impulse pops up, your brain enhances it, oh, this was a way, and this is all going in the subconscious. You're not able to notice it, but it's like almost like small triggers which lead to this bigger trigger of an impulse buying. There's a really good doctor. He was he was a child at the time of the Holocaust, and his mother gave him away to a stranger to save him from the Nazis. His name is Gabor Maté.
Okay.
And that guy, he's like 80 and 90 right now, old, but really deep insights on all these impulses and behaviors and things that you sometimes don't notice. Like you said, like your impulses. He also had that impulse. He is a doctor. And he had that impulse of buying things, and he would go on shopping sprees and go on buying things. And at that time, he didn't realize what was causing it. He knew it as a spree and he stopped it. But he didn't realize the more invisible symptoms, triggers that were causing that to appear, the shopping spree to appear.
So, would you not rather say that it's a combination of a lot of factors and the development of unique neural pathways inside your brain that actually makes you more prone to grab a habit, and maybe nicotine is just one piece of the puzzle inside this, that if many people have a lot of these factors already previously, if they already have these factors from before, they have these neural pathways already developed in their brains that could likely signal for a type of addiction or a reliance on nicotine or any other. It could be a habit as well. Do you not think that that's a strong contender for it?
So there's three things there: neuroplasticity, addiction, and then nicotine. This is all based off of my own research that I did. So again, I'm not like an expert here, but from what I've heard from multiple people like Andrew Huberman, um, and what's his name, Enler, something like that. A couple other people you could find all those guys on podcasts.
Who is he and what does he do?
He's a neuroscientist, brain scientist, you could say, to simplify it.
Neurologist, yeah.
Yeah. And then you could look at so many other different these brain scientists, you could say, and all these different findings. And the honest part is we are still not yet aware of our own brains. First of all, we don't know the capacity and the limits of it. We are still yet discovering all these things. Previously, I'll come back to these three things again, but previously we thought that ADHD was something that people are chronically affected with, and so it is something like perhaps like a curse or something on them. However, that's not the case. It's just a label, and once you start looking at it as a label and you start to live with it, human beings themselves, this is what amazes me and what has gotten me out of those dark thoughts and things, is that we have the capacity, this limitless capacity, this endless hope of forever evolving our thoughts and brains. I'll come back to the 3 points that you made. People who are prone to addiction, that's true, but
Prone to attention?
Prone to addiction.
Addiction.
So the thing that makes them addicted is their genes. Yes, that's true, but not entirely. Let me explain. For example, we look at alcoholics. Yes, they are prone to alcoholism. If they start on it, it's harder for them to quit. But that's just like a percent. It's not something like there's no voice calling them to grab that alcohol and start drinking it, chugging it. No. If they drink it, they are like 5 to 20% more prone to get addicted to that stuff. So that's just like a small percentage. Once you realize that and accept that, oh, it's a small percentage, so I have to be a little bit more careful with alcohol. If I see it, I should not drink it if I'm prone to it. If my dad had alcoholism or any drug addiction or any sort of addiction, I should be aware of it, not be scared of it. It's not affecting me in any way. You can get away from all these things, and that's true. It's just a certain percent that you are just a little bit more prone. That's it. It's not like you are chronically endangered now that once you see alcohol, that shit starts speaking to you. That's not true. That's not true. This is confirmed now.
Of course.
Now, the other thing, nicotine. As I said, nicotine is like, what's that word? It's a neurovitamin. It's like a vitamin for your brain, essentially. It's something that helps your brain and keeps it active more than what you could say like normally people would. We'll go back to the natural compounds that we find in nature, like the betel nut, pan, and all these different stimulants that are mild stimulants, which are found in nature. You could add in betel nut, then weed, the original weed. This was one of the theories that I had on weed. Weed, right now, the weed that is being sold and all that sort of thing that we see around us and not around us, is the weed itself is not bad. Let me explain it clearly.
Of course.
There's the weed that we are getting, it's essentially almost the same as, not that we are getting here, no weed here, this is just a cigar. Let me be clear. There ain't no weed here. The weed that we are getting here, you could almost understand it from this perspective, where we see that there are hybrid fruits and wheat and grains which are being grown faster, right? So they can yield more, grow more, have bigger size, and so on and so forth. That's the same for wheat as well. There are different types of
The
wheat.
different strains.
Yes, and then
Indica, sativa, all these different types.
and then once you get into hybridization and stuff, the compounds, the natural compounds itself, they get fucked up, and that's why you get all these fucked up weeds and shit like that. The natural weed, the weed at its basic form is a neurostimulant. It's a neurovitamin. It's a very mild stimulant. It's not something that will take your control away from your mind, but it will actually give you more power, you could think of it. Give you more horsepower so you could run through more processes at a little bit more faster rate.
Well, to add to that, I definitely do agree with the hybridization of different strains of marijuana. However, I would say that the reason why the negative impacts come in are not due to the hybridization in itself per se, but they are more due to the synthetic nature of the weed that is commercially available, because there's not a lot of weed that you find commercially as well, at least in countries where it's been illegally or even legally sold and traded. They tend to also add in a lot of synthetic additives into the weed.
Like,
to,
like
uh,
fentanyl and all these
ex-
different compounds. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is primarily the reason why it also affects a lot of people when they are not smoking pure weed. That's my assumption. But I do know for certain that there are these synthetic compounds in there. And furthermore, I do not think that the hybridization really has a big impact on the quality of weed, or it having a negative effect, at least in the sense that we are discussing it as. But I think it has a fundamental effect on how it affects your brain. So certain strains, they might make you a bit more calmer, they might make you a bit more creative, and you might be in a bit more of a chilled out mood, like a chilled out mood. You would just want to sit down, just smoke a fat one and just have some tea, eat something, just relax and just take it easy. While maybe another strain would make you a bit more hyperactive. It would make you want to go run a marathon, maybe like just be a bit more active. So I would say that's like my input on this subject matter, or at least on this topic. What do you think about that?
Just take the mic and put it like right on top of the button.
Right, gotcha.
No, take it out, yeah, and put it on top of the button.
I gotcha.
A little bit of audio engineering here.
All
Oh
good.
yeah, there you go.
There we go.
The hybridization, as you said, I'll come back to the one part that I missed on neuroplasticity, which I was learning about. Hybridization itself is not bad, but however, the effect of it, that's what I'm talking about. The Once you start hybridizing, the one, as I said, nicotine is a mild stimulant if given the right dosage. However, hybridization increases those compounds to a level where if you had smoked a whole cigarette, you would get maybe 3-4 mgs of nicotine, right? But if you take a hybridized cigarette and you smoke it, that hybridized cigarette will have maybe 5 or 6 more times the nicotine as compared to one cigarette, and that's where the effect comes in. It's again the dosage for everything in life. The amount you take is what affects you.
Dude, it's just not working today.
Bros, playing with this. Take this, like keep your hand here, and then
All right, man. I almost never use these. Never
I
use
love
lighters.
these clippers, man. Old school. And here
There
you
you
go.
Damn, man, it starts to burn your hand really quick.
So you have to keep it like tilted. Let me show you. Come here. Come here, little boy. Come here.
You good, bro?
That's the stimulant kicking
That's
in.
stimulant.
That's the stimulant making me stimuli.
Yeah.
I'm burning up his cigar. Keep it puffing, you know, like how you would keep the fire stoked up. So like give it like puffs like this. There you go. It's his first cigar, guys. Don't no worries.
No judgment.
No judgment. Boys learning. The way you smoke the cigar itself, this is something that's between those cigar guys. Something I heard and learned. I was in the cigar lounge with a couple of guys, and this was a subconscious game that everyone was playing there. They all had their cigars, and all of them had Cuban cigars. Those are harder than what you would think. This is lighter as compared to that one. And the game there is to essentially smoke it, but make sure the ash stays as it is and it doesn't fall. And that's the game. Everyone's playing it without even saying it. So whoever has the longest ash by the end of the cigar session wins. And it's like everyone just acknowledges that. It's a fun thing that I've noticed.
How do you?
I got second there
Yeah.
for my second time. the the first guy was this really old local guy. And bro, he had skills, man. The whole time, how I was smoking my cigar was just like this. So it doesn't fall. And this guy was just like flanking around, speaking, but very elegant. His movements were not erratic, but like very elegant. He was just going like this. Like he almost looked like one of those Italian guys with their hand gestures. Don't burn yourself, bro. But yeah, neuroplasticity. That's the other thing that I've been crazily spamming about. The whole previous episodes, if you see, that's what I'm constantly reminding myself because that's the whole thing. Before, so since you're born all the way up to 25, your brain is highly neuroplastic. For some it's more, for some it's less. But generally, till the age of 25, your brain is highly neuroplastic. What that means is you are able to adapt, absorb
You're able to basically alter your brain's neural
very easily.
pathways and to pick up new habits. And
Very easily.
That's why people, once they get past a certain point in life, it's very hard for them to change their habits, their way they think. That's why, because those patterns have set in.
However, there's still hope. Because after the age of 25, neuroplasticity is still there, but you have to consciously make efforts. As Andrew Huberman said, there's 3 compounds that you need to make sure that once you start to have if you want to change a habit and you understand that this is causing some damage, you need to have 3 driving factors. And if we talk about it from the chemical sense, I don't exactly remember them, but the more easier basic things were to have focus, to have awareness, and to constantly make sure that you're not doing it and getting yourself out of it. Those 3 driving factors is what makes you change. And then eventually you see, step by step, day by day, you start to change, adapt. Even for people in their 60s and 80s and whatever, this is where the hope comes in. It's harder, but it's doable. So those who really want to do it, those who actually want to change and make an effort in changing their life or their habits or their addictions, it's doable. That's why you see all these guys who are in their 30s and 40s who were cocaine addicts or alcoholics, they just suddenly quit. Something very deep that I understood. Why do we see that there are more musicians that have these ups and downs more often than other people? What do you think?
What kinds of ups and downs are you?
In their emotional states, in their well-being. specifically mentally.
Give examples of some in your opinion.
For example, I'm not gonna name, but you know the people who passed away from.
Okay.
You get what I'm trying to say, right?
Like from depression and things like
Yeah,
that.
things like that. Yes. And
Well,
let me be really honest. Those things are real if you let them be real.
yeah, I agree with that as well.
If you give in to an impulse, it's the same as giving in to the thought. It's almost the same because your mind doesn't realize. It cannot like tell you like it cannot differentiate between what you're thinking and what you are. So if you give in to an impulse and if you give in to a thought, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
One
that's
thing's
true.
more physically affecting you, the other thing is more mentally affecting you. And if you look at it from the opposite perspective, what affects you mentally affects you physically, and what affects you physically affects you mentally. So there's a correlation between those things. So your thoughts can affect you, and you can affect your thoughts.
Mm. Well, that is very true, and I think as what we were talking about before, I said that your thoughts are the ones that actually make your reality in many ways. At least they help to shape your reality. And of course, you become your thoughts at the end of the day whenever you focus on them too much. You brought up a point about musicians who would go through multiple phases and they would face all these like sharp ups and downs, I guess. Well, my assumption about that would be probably not all. I don't think this is limited to only musicians, but I think it does apply to them more specifically than other celebrities because of their lifestyle. When they're on the road, when they're touring, when they're going through, when they have to actually perform for their audience. So obviously they would be more likely than not under the influence of a lot of substances and drugs. And as we were speaking about earlier, a lot of these hard drugs, a lot of drugs tend to really impact your brain, drugs and rock and roll. So as we've
You're
as we
almost there. You're almost to the point which I'm there at, but you don't know the. I think I'm not sure. I think you're not aware of the systems that are being hijacked by these drugs once you start taking those, and then those mental circuits are what are essentially it is the mental circuits that are driving whatever is around us and inside us. And once you start to fuck around with those circuits using drugs or using certain highs and lows, then what we feel and what we see is what's called um, you could stem almost a lot of things from here, where you could take if someone imagine this cup is full of dopamine. This is dopamine. You wake up with a certain amount of dopamine,
right,
and this is your reserve.
yeah,
If you chug it all in one day, you're fucking high as fuck for the first 2 or 3 hours. Now you don't have any more dopamine. That's finished up. What do you feel after? If there's no good feeling there, if there's no rush there, now you're empty. And if you stay empty for a while and you do that every morning 3 4 times, the amount of dopamine that you have starts to diminish. The next day you wake up with a little less glass full, and the next day you wake up with maybe a little bit more than half of the glass, and then the next day you wake up with half glass, and eventually one day you wake up and you don't have any dopamine.
what you're essentially discussing kind of reminds me of how they describe the effects of cocaine, and that seems to be one of the most popular drugs that many
What is
musicians
cocaine?
do. What do you mean? What is cocaine?
Cocaine is something that essentially
What it
makes.
does, it gives you an ultra high of a rush that you're in this really extreme state of mind using so much dopamine.
It's the happy drug, you could say, in a simple
Exactly,
term.
exactly.
So it
But
releases the dopamine all at once.
exactly, and by the end of it, the next day you're just dead. You have to take days to recover.
And the
It
same
takes
goes
you
with alcohol,
even
by
days.
the way. What's the hangover? Hangover is the same thing. Now you're depleted. You suck. But if you drink that alcohol again, you're good to go. You know, rock and roll, ready to go, and that's what happens with musicians. This is
Is it
the.
still lit?
You just puff it a little bit more. No, don't push it out. Like, look at this. No, don't push it. Inhale, like, look, it's starting to light up. Give it a couple more puffs. Like, I don't want to say the word, man. That sounds gay. So
Yeah, and suck.
suck on, suck on the little teeter. Suck on it a couple more times, like, you know, like create some. Give it like a full mouthful, bro. I'm not
Hey,
joking.
yo.
I'm not joking, bro.
Yeah, better.
Yeah. And this is the whole trick with cigars. You need to keep it lit up, and it's essentially like a skill game as well. And the more humidified or the perfect cigars, they're harder to keep lit. So it's almost like you have to make a habit to puff every 30 seconds, 25 seconds, essentially. That's why I love these little cigars. It's easy to go.
It's easy. Gotcha. Anyways, back on the topic.
Neuroplasticity. And the musicians, that's why they kill themselves. It's really sad to hear that, honestly, because sometimes those musicians are the people who make these music and these songs. There's a very interesting fact that I found. I'll tell you about it. It's about Chester Bennington.
Of course, that's the guy I had in my mind.
That's the guy. Same thing.
A legend.
And when he died, he was alone.
He was?
Alone. He killed
In
himself.
a hotel room, right?
So what was he doing before that? He had a concert. He came back from the concert.
He had a wife, he had kids.
But he came back. Get the dopamine point of view from the scientific perspective, where he was on a high. He was on a high with all these crowd and people and singing, and he came back. He's depleted now. He's using alcohol. We all know that. He was. I don't know about the exact things, but we know the things. So what happens after you've done such a high? You get to a low. What happened in that low? He got drunk. What happened after that?
Did he get drunk after that?
Of course, like he was drinking. We know about it from all the document. I could be wrong here. Could be wrong here. I'm not an expert.
Don't quote him on that.
Don't quote me on that. 100%. Save my ass. But what I'm trying to say is essentially, he was alone, and being alone brings you to your own thoughts. And if you're on a dopamine low, those thoughts are usually negative. And those voices perhaps start to become overwhelming, and you start to overthink. And there are all these things that start to well up on you. And from, I don't know exactly what his deep troubles were, but if we come back to the singing part, the thing I was telling you that I knew this. Do you know about the song? What's his famous song?
Numb?
It's either Numb or Breaking the Habit or
Breaking
Bleed,
the habit?
or like bleed it out.
Bleed It Out.
Either one of those songs, and we think that he's singing, right? And if he's singing, so he must be the one who's writing. That's not true. The lyrics were written by some other guy in his band, and once he read those lyrics, he was almost in shock that how these lyrics are essentially the same thoughts that he was having. And sometimes we think that he was singing, so he was writing the lyrics. That's not true. Maybe for some songs it is, but for that one of those specific songs, it's not true.
Well, the one thing that we all can say for sure is that he had depression for quite some time. before all of this event transpired. So I do remember him like talking about it very often, that everything would be fine, he would be happy, he would be smiling, but deep down he would still be he would still be very depressed, and he would not know what to do about it. So I think it kind of welled up and built up over time, especially combined with the fact that he was using up so much dopamine, and especially when you're in this kind of lifestyle, you are much more easy. It's much more easier for you to be inside the dopamine rush, and then quickly empty your tank, and then have this phase where all these things pile up all together.
But maybe I sometimes think, look at Tyson Fury, another really, really good example, boxing guy. You know about him, right?
Of course.
And the amount of pain and suffering that he had through all his life was essentially, if not the same, at a human level, he was experiencing some things like these. In his mind, he was on top of the world because what he did was boxing. He did boxing and he was the king. But when he lost that one fight, how down he went, how his world shook down, and then how the drugs and parties and alcohol and everything got him down to this level where he was thinking to kill himself. And it's a very famous thing that he shared, that he was on a highway and he did like 120 or 100 in his Ferrari, and he knew that at the end of that highway there was a bend and he was gonna just hit it at 120 and end it. But as he was doing, he stopped. He stopped and he thought, what will my kids and my family think of me? That this guy killed himself because he was a coward? He wanted to kill himself because he was a coward? His dad was a coward? That's what my children will hear? And that's what enabled him to start fighting and he prayed to God. He said it out loud. He's a Christian. And he prayed to God. He wanted to change and he asked God for help. And then at that moment, it's like he was crying so much that his shirt was just wet with tears in a dark room. He
Right.
came home after that. And then he started to take actions to change. And he said, it's one of those videos that touched me as well in my recent dark times, that he said, you think in those times, look at me. I have the world around me. I am on top of the world. I have everything I want. I can get everything I want. But this feeling is telling me it's not gonna leave me. I'm paraphrasing now, that he was saying, this feeling, you think that this feeling will not leave you. Will you be stuck in this state of mind, in this state of feeling deep down inside and saying all those things out loud or inside your own head? There's no difference in that, by the way. If you say it out loud in your head, it's the same thing for you. So that affects you on the same level. And then he said, after he thought himself the same way, how am I gonna get out of this shit? How long will this last? Am I gonna forever be stuck in this? And then when he was out of it, he's like, now it's not there. So, and one of his biggest motivations were, he said, if I am on top of the world, if I have everything, and if I can beat this thing, then anyone can beat this thing.
Of course.
And then he took that and applied and did everything. He worked out, he got his diet right, he did everything, and now he's good. He's fighting, he won like 3-4 times in a row. He fucked up everyone. So that's the type of stories we need to hear more and see more. Yes, Chester Bennington was. I remember the day when I heard that he died. It was crazy shocking because I found out about him about a month ago or something, and I was deep into his music. It hit me hard
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was the biggest musical inspiration for me, and I remember it was like midnight, and I was just heading off to bed, and one of my childhood best friends actually, whom I actually fell in love with Linkin Park with together. We both started listening to Linkin Park together.
Girl or guy?
It's a guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So uh, he moved to Canada, and
Oh, okay. I thought it was you fell in love with the band.
I fell in love with the band.
Okay. I thought the one that
No,
thought you were
no, no,
twirling, bro. But that cigar is affecting you
no.
now.
No, we both basically discovered
Falling
Linkin
in
Park
love
together, and
all
we
over
we
again.
we kind of became passionate about the band and their music. So uh, he just texted me and told me, he's like, dude, Chaz is dead, and I'm like,
No.
Chaz is in Chester Bennington, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, check the news. I'm like, no, I didn't believe him for a straight minute. For a second, I just kept having a back and forth, like, really, just look, like, just search it, and I did, and that was the moment I think that was almost as shocking as hearing somebody close to you, like a friend, like pass away. Because I think people really underestimate the power of music and how much of an influence it can have on you, and how much of a connection it can build between you and the band and the people in it, even when you don't really know them, but they tell their stories through their songs. So it hit me like a truck, and I think I was almost in tears hearing that news. I mean, it happened a long time ago. So yeah, I think that was the time that I really. It's like even before this happened with their last album with Chester Bennington. What was it even called? I don't remember the name, but this last album, which was very different in sound and it was very depressing. It was the entire theme of this album was very much about depression, anxiety, like all these things that I couldn't really relate to and I didn't understand. So for me, I already felt that the vibe is really off. Like I felt that something's not right about the album, and at that time, I was still listening to Linkin Park, but I was listening to the older stuff, like the albums before this, until maybe the hunting party, from Hybrid Theory until
Meteor. No, no, no.
Hybrid Theory was the first one, right?
First one, sorry. Yeah.
And then until the hunting party, I guess that was one of the last.
Meteora, which one is that then?
It was like one of the albums right somewhere in the middle. I think it was maybe their second or third album, if I remember correctly. So Meteor was also I think that's where they actually peaked.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
And then people discovered the earlier album, and that also became popular. And after that, they were kind of a little bit more mediocre in terms of their popularity. But coming back to the point, it really I kind of felt that there's something really off about the music, and I had kind of not really actively listened to them for quite some time, and would sometimes just listen to older stuff. So yeah, it was a very very shocking thing, and all of this just kind of makes me simplify and say that I believe that the human mind is a self-destructive machine, and too much sentience, us having too much sentience, has made us become basically like ticking time bombs in many ways. Our brains to become ticking time bombs, that once you become too intelligent, you just really don't know what to do with all of these thoughts, all of this intelligence, all of this.
But that's a belief. That's a belief. Once you start to believe the thing that you fear, naturally, the thing that you fear, you start to believe, the fear starts to play a part. And then when you eventually reach that stage, it's not that the stage itself is like a bad thing, but the point that the thinking that you have created, that once I reach this point, this is a dangerous stage, that fear of danger that you created of the stage of wherever you are, and eventually you reach there, it's essentially what you did to your own self. It's like an inception. At a very basic level, it's an inception. It's the same as you planted a negative thought, a negative time bomb in your own mind, and once you reach that, it's like boom. And I feel like it's something similar with. Look, I'm no one to say that if someone is feeling a certain thing, he's wrong or right. Whoever feels something, it's them and themselves that can feel it and can understand. But what I'm saying is, it's the belief. If you accept it, you give in to it, then it starts to affect you. What is an anxiety? It's the same thing. It's the feeling. Once you give into it, of course, it's a factor. It's a real thing that occurs inside of us. But once you give into it, you accept, this is what's affecting me. And if you don't acknowledge that this is anxiety, something that's natural, and you accept that the fear is real, once you have this belief of the fear, you're not looking at anxiety as this thing. And if you recognize that anxiety is this thing, you have awareness of it, then you can control it to a certain extent. But if you keep fearing the fear, the anxiety keeps multiplying and you don't notice it. You're focused on the fear. Like, what if I become too intelligent? Holy shit. Then I'm gonna have like two brains bubbling? No. What am I gonna happen? Like all these thoughts are popping, but you're not realizing, oh wait, that's anxiety. That's something in the future. Why am I fearing it? It's not here yet. Like you could negotiate with these thoughts and fight off these negative ones. It's a belief. And the same thing I was saying, yes, Chester Bennington was saying all those things, like deep down inside I feel this, but he's also, it's almost like this is a cigarette and then I smoke it. This is a cigarette, I smoke it. It's like you're giving into it. You know it's bad. You keep smoking it. It's not gonna affect me now. And it's the same with whatever you say with your mouth. I'm gonna say I'm a retard. But if I say it long enough and loud enough, and eventually a certain amount of times, I'm gonna start to believe it. It's the same with the cigarette. If I keep smoking and smoking, eventually I'm gonna have some ass cancer or something, you know. I'm gonna have some lung bubble or something, you know.
Maybe there's gonna be grass growing out of your ass.
And then this is what I was coming to.
Exactly.
This becomes a habit, right? And then this is where you can see it's a habit, because you can observe another person doing the same things like a habit, like you sucking on that thing, poor thing. But let's look at Chester Bennington. Like he was openly saying, deep down inside I feel sad, but no one was there to tell him, look, why are you thinking in this way? You should not. Every time he feels happiness, he's happy, but if he made that thought, like whenever he's happy, he'll feel that deep down inside, he'll introspect, I'm sad. If he repeats that long enough, he'll start to believe it, and in every moment of his life, whenever he's happy, there's a trigger now that he starts going back inside, I'm sad. And this is what I was talking about. It's a habit at its very core. It's a habit that you have developed and concrete. You know, you fucking poured cement on it, over and over and over. Now you can't even see the bottom of it. Now you're like, this is my reality now. I can't even see the bottom of it, where you laid the sand and you had some bricks there, and then you put the thing there, and now you poured some concrete. Now you can see, oh shit, I'm making this a habit. Oh, I'm smoking this. This is bad for me. This will become something. But if you pour enough concrete on top of this structure, eventually the whole structure is gone. All you see is concrete. This is what I was telling you.
Well, just to get to that point, but in a different manner, they also say that if you don't feel happy, if you feel upset, a bit low, a bit down, or just sad in general, if you just tell yourself, I am happy, I am happy, you just look at the mirror and tell yourself that I'm happy, just speak to yourself in that way, you will eventually feel much better, and you'll actually feel happy. And I've tried this on certain days when I would feel a little bit low, maybe out of my element or under the influence of the weather. I would just say, hey, I'm happy, and I would just make myself believe that I'm happy. I would just smile for no reason. It actually really helps you a lot. It really improves your mood, and you just don't realize why were you feeling down anyways.
There was another thing that I wanted to come to. All these things are hard. I'll accept that. Something that I experienced. But the nature of all of this is self-doubt, belief, and habits, and then all these neural circuits that we have. If you are aware of all these things, but not hyper-aware, because some people think that hyper-awareness is a thing as well, and it is true. You start to become over-reactive on certain triggers, and you look for it in everything. Then that's not something you're doing. All you have to do is
Like a
accept.
pattern recognition system, right?
Yeah, and all you have to do is just accept. This is where I am. I cannot control the future. I cannot control the past. I am here.
I can only control myself.
I can only control myself and what's in front of me. You see all these people die. Was something, one of those things which woke me up as well. You're a human. I'm a human. I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. You're seeing me think. You're seeing me smoke. I have this personality. You know my goals. You know my things. My. You see that this guy has a future ahead of him. He's gonna do this, and so do I. I have to do all these things in my life, and there's so many things. And then suddenly, imagine you find me dead. It's the same person, right? This was something I was discussing as well. What do you think of this? You see me dead. It's my body. It's my janaza. You know, there's a cotton inside my nose. My eyes are closed. I'm a little blue. You see my lips. And you see my face. It's pale. I'm dead. And you think this guy yesterday had all these dreams and things, and he had to do. Now he's not there. His body is there. This was the thing that he was speaking from. He was there. Now he's not. Will you accept that he just died? Like, can you imagine like this thing from yesterday who had all these things thought and did all of this, consciousness just disappeared and he died? Like, he didn't die, right? Like that thing went somewhere.
Well, I think it really.
Like, imagine yourself, like now you're dead. Do you think you'll die? Like, whatever you're thinking, whatever that awareness, this visible field, this materialistic things that we are seeing it with our eyes, do you think you'll just go? Like, die?
For you? The
For-
person who's dead?
Yeah. Who died? Imagine you died and then you actually, like whoever, you sleep and you wake up. When you're asleep, you're not aware that you're sleeping, right?
Exactly.
But when you die, are you aware that you died?
That is the age-old question. Well, personally, I do believe that, from what I've heard, I'm really interested in listening to these accounts of near-death experiences, but they cannot really be verified. So, but I've seen a pattern in many of them, and in many cases, these are more like anecdotal, occurrences rather than proofs or evidence of anything. But I do find a very strong link between many of them, and that is, especially people who have died, they do realize not being aware that they're dead. They just feel that people are not able to hear them, and they see themselves in third person. And they're trying to talk to the people, but they can't. And somehow they have their own experiences where they travel to another plane, they get told of their purpose, or things like these, whether they see a holy figure. And
That's also what happens in the DMT experience when you take DMT.
exactly, because we have found out through scientific experiments that once you're dead, your brain releases a lot of DMT, and that is what explains all of these, that you're seeing Jesus, you're seeing an angel, you're seeing these figures. Because if you're just keeping it in light of pure science, you're likely to have these kind of experiences, because it's the way your brain is going to process everything. It's like a step-by-step method for your brain to shut down properly. The brain releasing all these chemicals to make it all a little bit more easy to digest your own end of your life. Perhaps the soul lives on, but the end of your
That's the thing.
end of your physical life, this is the process that at least we can document, and which we have evidence for, the DMT release in your brain.
I think there's this very profound sense of intellect, this hidden intellect, that no matter what we do, in any way, shape, or thing, you will not be made aware of how you will die or how you will experience until you die.
What is that supposed to mean?
Until you are dead, you won't know how it feels to be dead.
Of course, that's like
And you cannot
given.
find out before you die. So that's something that's hidden away. You cannot find out in any way. Who's the person who has died cannot come back and tell you. And all those retards out there who think that the soul still lives somewhere, uh, it's very highly debatable.
I mean, it's also not disprovable. Lack of evidence is not
Tell me,
lack of
tell me a dead
it
person
happening.
who's come back and told how he died. A
No,
real dead person, scientifically.
that's what I said.
Scientifically.
That's what I said. You cannot prove it, neither can you disprove it.
But you can make up a lot of things with your own mind.
I mean, if you were to believe the cases for hauntings
The
and all these
belief itself
things,
is there.
exactly. This reminds me of a case I
If you
heard about.
imagine, if you look at it from the very basic level, from science itself, if you believe something is there long enough and hard enough, you'll start to see it.
Of course.
And then you can start explaining
It
all
brings me
these.
back to this story that I heard about a mother and I think her kids or a daughter or basically a kid, a baby, I think, a baby, a mother and her baby who were driving on a highway and their husband was somewhere else. This lady's husband was somewhere else. So she was driving and she got into an accident and the car toppled over and basically it was a really bad accident that the car fell into a ditch and she died on impact. And when the this is actually a video. There's a video and there's another case, which is a story from somebody. But this is a video where the police are trying to look for the car, and then you can hear a voice saying in the back or something like that. Look at the back, like the lady's voice. And the husband or the people who knew her, when they listened to this, they said that's her voice. You know, look at the back, and the baby was safe. And they pulled it out from the baby from the back. And there's another case which a similar incident happens where a lady dies, and she gets when the husband appears onto the crime scene, onto this, not a crime scene, but upon the accident, he actually sees his wife who speaks to him for a brief moment and tells him that, you know, take care of our daughter, take care of our kid. And she basically is just there to make sure that, you know, the kid is fine, the kid is alive, and then she just leaves. She just goes. She just walks away. She just fades away. I don't know if he saw her apparition or not, but there was definitely a case like this. So it made me really intrigued about these kind of incidents where people sometimes come back for one last goodbye or one last, act of confirmation of sorts, or at least when they feel that their loved ones are in danger.
I can relate to a similar story that's very close to me and something that I've witnessed with my own eyes. And that's when my grandfather passed away, so my mother's father. And my sister, she dreamed of my grandfather actually coming in her dream and telling her the specific route, a specific location, a specific wardrobe, a specific hidden compartment that she has never seen in her life. And inside that compartment, there was a will that he left.
That's interesting.
And that's only my sister saw that in her dream. She walked and did like how my grandfather asked, and she found the exact compartment that no one in the entire family knew, not even his own wife, not even any of the sons or the daughters. And everyone was just like shook, like like bald eyes, like what the fuck just happened.
Oh, what was in
It
the
was
video?
it was
Just
a
a will?
will. It was a will with some money and some bonds and like a good huge sum of money, which was very significant. It was almost, I don't know the exact amounts to be honest, but it was very significant. Where everybody was just like, "What the fuck just happened?"
You know, this is interesting because I had a very similar experience as well, and that was maybe over 15 years ago, or yeah, maybe over 15 years ago. So when I was like 5, my grandfather, my mom's dad, he passed away as well in front of me actually. the first person who I actually ever saw pass away.
Mm.
And
Minus points, bro.
yeah,
Minus points.
minus points. I'm not trying to play that game right now.
Bro, let me, because I'm looking at you. I'm a cigar fan. It's annoying me.
It's annoying you?
You need to like puff on it, and I'll light the thing, and you need to puff on it. There you go. Now it's lit. This is how you know that it's properly lit. Just like smoke it for, give it a couple more, puffs every 8-10 seconds.
So, about like
Your
15
grandfather
years,
passed away in front of you, and then what happened?
so about 15 years ago, quite some time after he passed away, I just had a dream, where I was in this area which just looked like a big map, like a big open world map with a lot of rooms, like a mazy looking room. Like just some interesting looking rooms, kind of like, I don't even know how to describe them. Like they're all like these little houses in a way. So I see that my grandfather, he comes to me in this dream, and I actually did not really interact much with him because I was just 5 when he passed away. I didn't really get to experience much of time with him, and I don't remember a lot of my memories with him, only just a handful. So he comes to me in his dream looking all happy and normal, and he just comes to me, he's like, "Hey son, like, come with me, I want to tell you something." So we just go inside this one house, and we're just sitting there, and he just tells me, he's like, everything is fine, everything's great, I'm in a good place. And I just wake up after that. That's all. And I never had a dream like that since then, ever. It's very strange, but for me, I didn't really think much about it. But it was definitely like a very strange experience. It could be something that just like means probably nothing, but it was a very interesting
Do you know, like the average person, and we are not the average, we are like the third category. The average
category?
person, we are the exception. The average people, not us of course, they have, what's their average usage of the brain? Like how much of the brain are they able to use? Do you know about that?
Most of it.
No.
The 10% is a myth.
4 to 9%.
Yeah, actually, I
It's a myth?
remember seeing this movie, Lucy. You must be aware of it, with Scarlett Johansson, where she is supposedly some chick who gets involved accidentally into some kind of a drug deal, and they essentially are trying to deal with a new type of drug synthetic compound. I forgot the name, with like these blue crystals. It's a new type of drug apparently, and they kind of try to cut her up, and they try to stuff it inside her to make her like transport it through like smuggling abroad. So, long story short, she gets into an altercation. They kind of hold her down for some reason. And apparently, they like punch her, and these crystals get like broken inside her, and they actually start making her
Hallucinate.
And yeah, it's like it kind of goes back and forth between shots of Morgan Freeman giving lectures in Science Hall about how we use 10% of our brain, and this students keep asking about what happens when we use 15%, 20%, and then he just keeps hypothesizing, oh, this could happen, that could happen. Ultimately, you just become God. So he didn't actually say that, but that's what was kind of implied. So, and what happened in that movie, like I was very intrigued by the premise of it, and I was like, is this actually really true? Because I've heard about this very often, and I didn't really think much about it, but I was definitely interested. So I actually dug a little bit deep, and I found out that this is actually an outdated theory, because your brain is using different portions of its self at different times. Sometimes it's using a different sometimes your cerebrum is more active. Sometimes a different portion of your brain is more active rather than another one. For when you're sleeping, there's a different portion of your brain that's lighting up, and this they've actually seen through doing examinations of the brain,
And-
through CT scans, through.
And this is what I was telling you about. that the certain brain area, you're able to use a certain brain area at a certain time. However, if you think about it, what if we were able to use all of the areas together? It makes, understandably, with the new science that we have, I can understand how um, it could have implications in the basic activities themselves.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
All right.
The basic activities themselves, like for example, the frontal cortex is used for certain things, the back cortex, the side, and all that, the different brain areas are there for certain purposes or things and processes. What if we're able to use all of them, but that would then,
Simultaneously.
yeah,
I just
then
don't think it would really do much because
then you will just be like a lunatic. You'll just lose the whole. I don't think you're able to. You do not have enough, perhaps chemical energy to power all of them all at once, because that will just make the whole system crash in a way. Like trying to think it from an energy point of view, but I know you gotta go, so it's fine. We'll discuss
yeah, man.
the rest of the stuff later. And
Good talk. Good talk.
this was Haris, and
Let's pick
I'm
up.
Wajeeh, and I don't think it's gonna cancel out. I need to stand up. Manual closing, guys. See ya. Bye bye.